Hello and welcome. This is your GM in the Great Barrier broadcasting from the center of your entertainment galaxy. We are back after a little bit of a break with Star Trek Adventures Broken Sword. We are back with part 2 of our current adventure, lo'laHbe, pagh, nguvwI, which roughly translates to nothing worthwhile is easy, I think is what the Klingon would come out to. Before we get going with tonight's session, just one little mention that deserved to happen, besides the fact that if you haven't checked out Season 3 of Star Trek Picard and you want those hard feels, then I would highly suggest
No spoilers.
doing those. Of course, this is a strictly no spoiler stream. I'm just going to say there's finally a worthwhile season of Picard.
Yeah, I'm not having
Hard
that argument
disagree,
either.
but anyways,
Too little, too late.
At least partly worthwhile.
there were hard feelings. I will agree with that, but not hard in a positive way.
Is it Star Trek? I like it. Now that's it.
It's very much a movie.
It was a thing.
Yes. All of that said, let's go in. Joe, I believe you had you'd tracked something of note.
Do you dare to dream? A new age of role-playing is coming August 3rd, 2023. From the folks that brought you Star Trek Adventures, Dune, Fallout 2D20, Actung Cthulhu, and several other great 2D20 focused systems and games, Modiphius Entertainment presents Dreams and Machines, a brand new IP from Modiphius. Dreams and Machines is a world cut off from Earth, a far-flung outpost of humanity where mechs and futuristic tech dominate society. The world is in ruins after a war with the machines. Now mechs lay dormant, but when they activate, these walkers bring destruction. Factions like the Archivist and Dreamers are rebuilding the world in their own way, growing and trading what they can from other Everin communities. The shadow specter of the Dark City skulks around the malevolent, corrupted AI known as the Builder. It's plotting against humanity. What will you do to save the human race? This game is, as I said, it's a brand new IP from Modiphius. It's using the powerful 2D20 system, the same system that we use for Star Trek Adventures here. And from everything that I've seen of it, it looks very close to a Horizon Zero Dawn game setting without being tied up with the actual IP. You can find out more about this IP at dreamsandmachines.com. They have a newsletter you can sign up for updates, and you can follow Modiphius Entertainment on your preferred social media site to stay more informed of all the great things Modiphius has coming.
And we thank you, Joe. Obviously, it goes without saying that he very much keeps in the know as one of the people from the Overland Gamer podcast, their own little traveling band of enthusiasts when it comes to these sort of things, and we always appreciate it. I'd also say check them out on your podcasting platform of choice. And links for all of the for both them and for the new Modiphius game will be in the chat, or rather, it will be in the description of the video here. So thank you for that. But with all that, let's go ahead and get things started to, or rather, from where we last left off. So it has been a few days since the Yan had left the planet Khad. The dry, dusty colony where you were sent to retrieve a Klingon by a somewhat mysterious agent, possibly someone tied to a great house. They kept things quite vague on their end, other than the name Bemots. But you did manage to pick up the target, a Klingon Hemhoch by the name of Dirkir. It was no easy matter for you, however, because in the process of picking it up, you found that there was also some attention paid by a band of mercenaries whom you dispatched with frightful efficiency. The battle against them, however, came at a cost to the surrounding settlement, or more specifically, an orbiting space station with 2 soldiers of the Empire. When the bird of prey that the enemy was using was lost, the station was lost with it due to a transporter accident, and before they were destroyed, the station had managed to let off a distress call. It is now a few days on that issue which you are presently reckoning with, as your Raptor picks up the signs of an Imperial battle cruiser on an intercept course directly to you. For those that were looking at the graphic at the very start here, that was what nguvwI had depicted on the tactical screen, essentially showing that you were on a course that they would very easily intercept. When presented with options to either divert, to consider combat, or to try and bluff their way past, Captain pagh decided to put forward the best face they could as possible, hiding their involvement in the HAD system with nguvwI's help. And I believe Roldar also worked on that as well, basically taking steps to conceal any computer records that indicated you were involved in that battle. You've come under very stiff inquiry since you rendezvoused with the Imperial battlecruiser, the IKS Chikros, and its commanding officer, Commander Baona. He's been very probing with his questions and had already opened off with threats, basically, to establish that he didn't want you going anywhere, or that he was concerned as far as you trying to leave or pull anything. After some back and forth with the commander, you have at least worked out that there's not going to be any combat, or the ship is not at imminent risk of being shot. However, Baona wants to satisfy his curiosity on the matter, and just wants to verify that what you are saying is true. Very specifically, that you had no involvement in the battle, and they want to make sure there's nothing untoward. So they are about to send a boarding party to conduct an inspection of the yacht. And I think that is where we are going to join in, or start off the session, with pagh, unless you desire to... would you desire to meet the people coming in on the transporter pad, or would you prefer to have stayed on the bridge and leave that task to someone else?
My immediate response was, hell no, I am not leaving Croker all by himself in the transporter room.
I believe that you... Oh, yes, Croker is indeed in the transporter room and would be the first one to greet the party otherwise.
It's okay. I know he wants to be near me. I know it in my heart.
Yep. Well, then we can start off in the corridor with pagh moving down the hall in order to meet incoming boarding party. You'll at least have time to make it to the transporter room. Do you have anyone with you, or does anybody want to be in the scene for some sort of walk and talk?
But it's Dekoth who wants to be my personal bodyguard, so I'm pretty sure he's coming with me.
So Dekoth will be alongside you, running at your flank. So I guess first, pagh, did you want anyone else to be alongside you for this?
No, not really.
Okay.
I know my crew.
Then the question goes out to the rest of the crew. Did any of you want to come along for a walk and talk?
No, they didn't. No, they didn't.
Captain has said no, we didn't. So the captain's always right.
So I guess we will start that opening scene. pagh, you are walking down the hallway with Dekoth. In some ways, the discussion you had probably went about as well as it could, but you are not in an enviable situation. How would you describe your demeanor as you're walking down the hall? Is he stoic, or are you cursing to yourself lightly under your breath? Give us some flavor.
Lightly under my breath? No. I'm a Klingon. I curse loudly and fluently and with great aplomb. Yeah, no, I'm all grumpy as hell. on my way down to the transporter room.
Joe, as I know Decoth's your preferred NPC for you, is there anything you'd want to add going as you accompany your captain down the hall?
You're grumpy, Captain.
Captain, you seem a little distraught. Might I suggest a brief stop in the galley for
No.
a cup of blood wine to take the edge off?
No, we have no time for that. They're beaming over now.
I say make them wait. Your mental strength is of more importance than their disrupted patience.
These are soldiers. Probably just sending over Becks and maybe one officer. They still have every right to take my ship, should they choose to.
That will happen over my dead body.
That would happen over all of our dead bodies. How do you think they're going to take my ship?
They sounded like cowards on the viewing screen. I figured they'd just ask politely and then we kill them.
Have had no experience dealing with military officers, have you?
Very slim, but like any challenge, we face it with disruptor or blade, sometimes fists if we need to. We've been in tougher scrapes before. This should be nothing for us.
We all will die, and if so, it will be honorably in combat. I, however, will not die stupidly. There would be no honor in a fight at this point. Be no honor for us. There'd be no honor for them.
I shall follow your lead, then.
It wouldn't even be a fight for that ship out there. Certainly not against this old girl. So
just offer up that pilot of yours. He'll crash it before long.
Don't tempt me. Seriously, don't tempt me.
And the two of you make your way down the hallway.
By this point, we should be at the transporter room.
Oh,
not that big a ship.
Oh, certainly. This was just the. I believe it meant just a trip up the hallway and into the lift.
I know it would probably take just as long to go up a gangway as it would to take the lift.
Yeah, whichever was to your preference, Captain. But the conversation lasts that appropriate amount of time as you make your way up to the crew deck and towards the transporter room. Indeed, while Decoth himself was unconscious for the battle, you know precisely what a fully armed battle cruiser can do. You've long since at least cleaned up most of the damage, but there are still areas of patched hull and stressed conduit about this ship that you know are present. That for the time he was unconscious in a pod in your cargo bay, that Decoth missed when you faced down a terrible set of battle cruisers, and the odds with that back in Clock de Kelbracht.
Yes, that was a bad day for my ship.
Yep. And very nearly you almost died, not only from that, but also very nearly in melee combat. We cut from that as we enter the transporter room. Which, by the way, I hope all of you like the new transporter room set.
Nice.
It is a bit of a work in progress, but
It's too nice.
It is too nice. I need to break things.
Literally.
I was just going to say, just call in Woe.
Woe will also be there too?
No, I'm saying you want to break things, just call Woe.
Okay.
In the
Don't say break things.
in the transporter room, anyway.
Yep.
20.
So anyway, Woe is not present unless she so decides to be there. But I will say Crow Kerr is, of course, at his station in the transporter room when Tabok and Decoth enter.
Ah, darling, you've come for a visit, I see. And you brought company.
You will stow that language, and you will stow it now, and you will stow it so far up your anatomy that it never shows its face again. Do you understand?
Oh, shit. Sorry. Shit, I was going to make a really dirty joke, but you know what? I'm going to keep it inside and not say anything.
God damn it.
You stand me up for one. It's all I can think about.
Oh.
Anyways,
The captain is exceptionally grumpy. Being flippant with the captain right now is probably not the best idea.
yeah, the captain and his one security is really gonna do me some harm. Okay. Croker walks back behind the console to the transporter. And he's obviously a little bit upset, just a touch. Betty comes out. I don't like the way you just spoke to him.
You will be silent as well.
No, sir. Don't you start. Don't you start with me.
Our lives depend on you staying silent.
There's like a big inhale through her holographic nose. She taps her foot, which is just Croker tapping for her. He knows the drill. All right, fine. I'm gonna go this time. But don't you talk to him that way again. You understand me? Or I'm killing this whole fucking ship. She quickly goes,
we are going to need to have a discussion about that sometime, not now. Signal them that we are ready to receive their transport.
Signaling now, Captain.
Tabak does not respond.
Nobody is particularly happy as the transporter pad, now once again functional, lights up before you with the yellow-orange hue of 6 figures beaming onto the transporter pad. As they materialize, you see in what is the standard of the era, the armored and helmeted officers of the Klingon Imperial Fleet. 6 of them come off the pad, most in darker helmets, among whose glint you can barely tell, but as with all of them are the standard sense of cranial ridges and impression meant to show that they are all Klingon no matter who wears the helmet. But 2 of them have lighter helmets, indicating meant to indicate officers.
Decothel, after they materialize, Decothel step forward. Gentlemen, I'm assuming they're all male.
It's difficult to tell with the heavy armor. They are meant to look about as uniform as possible, save for the officers.
They are officers, right?
2 of them are.
2 of them are. Yeah.
All right. Whatever the standard Klingon greeting is.
May
I introduce you to Tabak of House Cord? And then I step back and kind of gesture to Tabak.
I'm just standing there with my arms folded across my chest.
Yep. The lead officer looks from Decoth to Tabak. More pomp and circumstance than I expected from a little ship such as this. Captain Tabak of the House of Cord.
Welcome to the Yan.
The inspection will commence immediately, and he'll just give a loud clap, one that sounds far more like a clash of leather from the gloves that he's wearing. An additional party will be on board shortly as we conduct our inspection. They will report to me soon, and I will discern proper course of action from there. Your crew will not interfere with us and comply with all directives and answering all questions. Is that understood?
Do not interfere with my crew, and my crew will not interfere with you. Sufficient?
At the talkback, one of the flanking soldiers seems to bare a fist and raised a little bit, with the commander letting his hand fly, his palm open. We shall do all that is necessary with as little inconvenience as possible. We don't want you late for your trade run.
This is appreciated. Can we get on with it?
Dekoth removes his hand from his disruptor at his side, but he keeps it very close to it. Seeing the aggressive look from the one guy.
Oh, and Captain, while I am awaiting that report, I shall need a suitable accommodation to maintain watch and accept reports. Would you have an office available, or perhaps perhaps your galley if it's particularly stocked with blood wine?
It's stocked with something we call blood wine.
I will see whether it is adequate then.
It won't be. This way.
Yep. And the officers begin to filter through. Within just a few minutes, another party is beaming on board, or is also beaming on board and coming through the transporter room as the inspectors make their way through.
Before I leave, I turn to Croker and I basically just stare at him and say, keep your mouth shut, both of you. Say it very quietly.
Croker, very loudly, very pettily, and what? Out of character. Yes, of course. I would never disobey my captain. And he plumps his hair and follows behind the nearest whatever these dudes are. I was not paying attention.
Well, he's supposed to be running the transporter still for that.
Nope, he's gone. You get to do it.
I can't.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah. Well, we can say there is a second group of Imperial soldiers that are beaming on board. So if you want to fall in behind them, then after that point, Tabak and Dekoth will have left. Unless you want to make the point of falling behind the first group and really, send the signal to the captain that this is how it's going to be, at least so far as
this is how it's going to be. Yes, I'm going after the first group.
I am so getting rid of this guy.
You can try.
Say the word, Captain. The doctor needs someone new to dissect.
Well, let's move along then a little bit. So we kind of get the montage of clips of Imperial soldiers walking through the cramped, jagged hulls of the Yon. Their disruptors and mechleths at each of their sides, pistols that is, with for the disruptors, as they are starting to run sensor scans, and you hear harsh echoing calls of Klingon between each of them as they go about conducting their scans. The group starts making their venture. One starting from the very top levels of the propulsion deck, making their way up through the access gangways, with another just proceeding straight down to the subdeck and conducting their scans there. The two parties steadily making their way throughout the ship and making assessments along the way. As they do, there's a few instances where they rummage around through things, and perhaps in a less pleasant fashion, and I think we are going to cut in with at least a couple areas of interest. So I think that at least the three that I had in mind where scenes might be an option would of course be engineering, sickbay, and the armory, or such that there is an armory somewhere on the ship. I'll admit I'm forgetting where we located that, or whether we
don't have a room specifically set aside for an armory.
Yeah. Lowe's quarters, pretty much, then. Either that or just a storage area that has been shoved full of weapons.
Probably that, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think Klingons actually care where the weapons are as long as everybody gets access to them.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So let's see. So yeah, I guess the question would go. There are obviously some people more so concerned with some areas than others. There'd definitely be scenes in sickbay, in engineering. Let me actually put a question to you guys first. Would anyone want a particular scene with some of the just rank and file Imperials here?
I want to see him step up.
Oh,
You want to see
well,
who step up?
oh dear, oh dear. Well, you will definitely get a chance to deal with some soldiers in your engine room there, Raldar. Um, I guess then if
I also may have some classified Klingon research in my sickbay.
yes, they'll definitely be coming to
That's
sickbay.
entirely possible.
You
That's
guys.
entirely possible.
So I'll say the Gorn are definitely a given in this case. I guess the questions would be directed to. I suppose they'd probably be about on the bridge as well. So, um,
Definitely.
Azek and
Why do
what's his
you
name?
want to give the GM more ammunition? What is wrong with you people?
And,
No,
God.
locking the door to Junior's room. We can't let them go in, then they're on their own.
all right.
Or we
So
can, and they can just keep sending soldiers in.
We just got to make sure to get it on video because that's going to be hilarious to watch.
anyway, let's see. I think I will ask for. Well, I'm debating here. So I think there would be some possible scenes in the engine room, possibly one in the bridge, and one in sick bay as well. Would anyone like a particular order to that? Does anyone want to roll to go first using our favorite little house rule? Or at least.
The only thing I can think of that Tabak might do is steer conversation, see how much this particular guy is a true believer in Kalis and the scrolls, and Tabak writes out the holy works of the Desha just to stay sane, and maybe he would have something to talk about. I don't know,
Copy
but
that.
that's something else entirely different there. So
Oh no, that'd actually be interesting, particularly if he's taking up residence in your office there. So
no, I took him to the
to the galley.
to the galley. I didn't take
Okay.
him to my
Yeah.
quarters and office.
Gotcha. Then we'll let's see. I want to save that one for last then, as he's going to want time to review things before speaking with you. So I guess then you know, I can't think of anything else to go for just yet, so I'm going to say let's do a roll off between the Gorn. That is definitely where some of the interesting stuff is. Actually, Azek, I want you in on this too, because there will be some Klingons about the bridge as well.
Okay.
So,
All right. Resic's in the lead.
yep, Krasik has the low roll, which for
Isaac
those.
wins.
Yep. Azek does take the lead there, which, just as a reminder, first off, I hope everyone is enjoying our new overlay now. We have modified things so that you can actually see the rolls that we run.
As
And,
bad as they are.
yeah, it makes things, we keep things a little more above board that way. Because of that, you can see in action a particular common roll that I like to do. I like to do an initiative roll on narrative segments where the lowest roll goes first because that is what the 2d20 system favors. So we are going to pick up to start with on the bridge, actually. Um, so as engineering teams are setting to work all about or rather as the inspection teams are setting to work about the ship, Tabak, have you returned to the bridge yourself, or have you left things to the crew that's currently up there?
I am not on the bridge. I'm basically just sort of sitting there hanging with my current nemesis.
I honestly thought he was going to say, I've ditched the ship. I'm going to Risa. See you guys later.
No. My family's fortunes and my family's honor mean far more to me than a day at Risa.
We can relocate to the bridge. Yeah, Azek, you were essentially the senior most person left in charge, although you do understand that your Nausicaan co-pilot, Bahan, he has apparently been a ship captain in the past. And then of course you have Vopri over at Science Station.
Before the inspection crews come to the bridge, I would be running scans, surface level scans, that they wouldn't be able to tell we were looking too much into the other ship, just kind of assessing, gaining data off of it and that stuff like that. With the awareness that if when the inspection crew gets on there, that we shift over to just scanning the sector.
So you want Vopri running a surreptitious scan, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Passive scans are okay.
Allow me to clarify. Azek, were you thinking just a passive scan, or are you actually going for something more active, but as I said, surreptitious in order to better discern the status of the ship?
A little bit more than surface level.
You're gonna get us killed.
Mostly kind of Azek is very interested in how the ship maneuvers, how well it maneuvers, and kind of that knowledge.
Copy that. Okay, I think that this will be a reason and security task for Vopri to run. Azek, you can assist here, or yeah, I will rule that you can assist him as well as the ship's sensors and science here. I think actually sensors and engineering could apply in this case.
This is just a one die for assistance, right?
Yes. And I will allow you to assist actually with reason and con. Okay, that is a critical failure right there, my friend.
Oh God.
I was going to spend threat on that one, but I won't be so cruel on that. I will allow Vopri reason and science. So 3 successes, which would technically meet. And then if somebody wants to roll for the ship, that is sensors, and I think I'll allow engineering on this one. Or science. I will permit you to choose.
What was the difficulty of this roll?
This was a difficulty 3 roll. So
Okay.
with that,
Yeah, you got 1 from the ship.
Yep, with 1 from the ship and 3 from Vopri, everyone's favorite little guy, you do actually get 4 successes on that roll. I believe I'm attempting the scan now, and I must ask, Azek, that complication you rolled, while you managed to earn back 1 momentum, that is not enough to buy it off with momentum. So would you prefer to take a narrative complication, or would you rather buy off that with threat for the GM?
Narrative complication.
Very well. Vopri begins initiating the scan. I am keeping it as on a lower EM band. Hopefully it will be enough to avoid detection. That is, well, the ship is indeed quite maneuverable. Well, at least by design specifications, or what we know of it, it could manage to come closer to even maneuvering us, although the captain's engine upgrades and the refit might give us a slight advantage there if it were to come to it. But what is this? I am detecting some unusual emissions from one of the warp pods, and others yet from the impulse drives. Azek, as you look over some of the sensor telemetry that Vopri relays over to your station, you are seeing some schematics of the battle cruiser, the IKS Chikros, or Chikros rather, the G. Uh, while it's a little past your time for the service, you do at least know a bit about the earlier models of what eventually became the, I believe it was the Korok class cruiser is the latest refit. A vessel that was very well known for within the Imperial circles for being very good at interception, having near unparalleled tactical sensors, but very short ranged essentially, or it was difficult essentially to. Rather, they don't go that far beyond Imperial borders, or at least haven't since the 4 Years' War, because there have been some issues with them in the past. What you do notice, however, is that even for a ship that should be operating on like standard Imperial patrol routes, there are definite signs of very curious engine emissions that suggest possible maintenance issues. If you didn't know better, you'd say that the ship is actually like it must be working with something must not be working properly, because there are certain radiation emissions coming off the nacelles, such that those warp pods featured on them would work that way, and they are um, basically the engine assembly is showing signs of strain current operation.
Could I take the viewing screen and kind of get a better look of the ship, kind of especially the engines, to see if there's been damage recently?
Well, you can have that magnified up, and you can be observing exactly that as the or you can be observing exactly that as 3 Klingon soldiers walk in onto the bridge. Liv! What are you doing there?
You have a very impressive ship, and as I say that, I'm gonna pan the camera or the viewing screen so it kind of looks like it's just taking a panoramic of the ship, just a slow look at it. Reminds me of the older vessels of the same class. Obviously, yours has had a lot more polish than the old warships.
Someone who served. The voice comes from inside the implacable light metallic helmet.
It's been a while, but yes.
Perhaps then you have sufficient honor to be of assistance to us. Controls on some of the decks are non-responsive. Doors in the crew section are not opening. We require entry.
That unfortunately is not in my purview. That is between you and the captain. I cannot allow. I cannot bypass the captain's locks, and we've had some issues with the electrical systems, as you can tell. And I'll point at some loose wire on the in one of the corners of the bridge. Just a small panel that's loose and has some wires detached from it.
I'm sure the place where Ezek had originally plugged in his little toaster oven for the pagh pockets.
Yeah, that works.
Before Tabak jettisoned it.
Yeah.
With a lot of prejudice, yes.
Oh, barely anything of use on this ship. Well, you let your captain know, and what? You noticed you have an infestation here. The helmeted Klingon says as he swivels around and sees nguvwI, who's just shrinking down into his chair as much as possible. Oh,
nguvwI there has earned much honor and respect from the crew for his service to Captain Tabak.
One of the Klingons behind him just laughs, clutching his belly. Oh. There's no honor in things such as these. They're but beasts of burden.
Have you heard that?
Can
Have you?
Woe be behind this guy? Like directly behind this guy?
Woe could indeed step on the bridge right now at this most perfect moment.
Well, we got your name.
Your definition, Mr. GM, of perfect is a slightly suspect.
Perhaps. Yeah, so the door opens as you hear this one Klingon to it'd be on the screen. It's your left. It's to Woe's right as she's walking in. Just well, you can't tell because of the helmet, but just kind of his attention directed in nguvwI's direction. Do you hear that, little one? Do you understand the concept of honor that they seem to attach to you? Oh, do not make us laugh.
You hear there's like a rumbling. What are we laughing at? Do you think it's funny to pick on someone smaller than you?
The two Klingons with the darker helmets both pull disruptors as they turn and see you first and then back up slightly, pulling disruptors at the ready. The officer turns around. Ugh. I thought the beasts on your ship were only small. Well,
Azek would pull his disruptor too. At the moment that they pulled theirs.
Oh Jesus!
It is a good thing their attention is not on you right now, Azek.
Gentlemen,
Woe bends in half to be at eye level with the captain.
I'd have it in my hand down to the side, not pointed at them. Gentlemen, please, let's remain honorable to the crew of the Yon and show the same level of respect that we show you. What is it that we can do for you here?
Well, the officer, who, to be clear, is not the captain, although he dresses near identical to him, just turns to you, Azek, and says, "Tell your captain, either get those doors open, or get the information to us on why they can't be opened. I don't want to bring a more in-depth scanning crew here, but if I have to, then we will. And we will come to understand what's inside."
Might you be interested in a little trade of information?
Not here to bargain with.
I just want to see. I want to see your ship. I think that's impressive. Do you think that I might be able to, obviously with escort, transport over at some point and get a tour of your mighty vessel.
The two Klingons who are the two darker helmeted Klingons, what you would guess to be Becks or perhaps enlisted soldiers of a sort. They still have their disruptors on nguvwI at the moment. But the officer is just looking between Azek and between WoW. We'll see what we can do for your tour, old warrior. But I make no guarantees. And I expect that to happen. I expect that regardless of whether that happens, to you to get that information and relay those orders to your captain. As for you, he says, looking to you, well, you can stand aside or find out the consequences otherwise.
She
We
looks
have
over
done
at
here.
his head at Azek. I like them. They're stupid. She steps aside for them to go through.
You can play with them later. Whoa.
The engineers calm down. Rather, the officer in the front just waves his officers along. It's a very sort of weary, not so much one that kind of feels like they are just tired of they tire of the situation and just want to move it along. But there's definitely, such as you can tell in the through the helmets, there's definitely the sense of someone giving you a little bit of side eye here. Whoa. But yeah,
That's just her normal life. Doesn't everyone who meets her give her side eye?
The captain does constantly.
Well, to be fair, I did have my fingers in his mouth.
oh dear, oh dear. Anyway,
This is your fault.
This is not my fault. Excuse
no.
you. A lot is my fault. This is not my fault.
No, this is the GM's fault.
Yep. Yeah. So the group leaves the bridge, and you are momentarily left with a nice bit of peace, or rather, the moment's peace.
Azek will go over to Vopri and say that we need to generate a report on the rooms that are considered locked, showing that they are either complete. The ones that are completely empty, leave them; they're fine. But if there's any questionable material inside, we need to slightly fabricate why those doors should remain locked, whether it's a coolant leak or some kind of radiation or some we can't do breaches because they could just scan the outside of the ship to see that there's not a breach, but some means of hiding those rooms and making it look not suspicious and look just like it's a rundown ship. Is that something you can do?
I might be able to do that. I do not know, but I will try.
Do your best. And please do not take what those insert Klingon curse word Klingons called you. You have earned much honor and respect with the crew of the Yan. Please take pride in that.
nguvwI will sit there for a moment and nod and say, "Oh, okay. Uh, just do not let your voice carry on that, please. I do not want harm to any of you on my account."
None shall. But I appreciate the caution.
A little bit.
Does he grow some? Does
What?
nguvwI grow some from this words of affirmation?
He does.
Oh yeah, I'm sure his head does.
Yep. nguvwI gets back half an inch.
I'll go sit in the captain's chair. Actually, no. Is Woe still there?
Yes.
Yeah.
I will head toward, like I'm about to go sit in the captain's chair, but realizing that Woe is still there and they would probably rip me in two, I offer the chair to Woe and then go back to my station.
Woe knows damn well he was going to sit in that chair. He just not. Just gives him a little bit of a slow blink, squinty slow blink. And I suppose she leaves to go find the captain to report of how shittily they spoke to nguvwI. The real.
The moment she leaves, as it goes over to the captain's chair.
Of course he does.
All right.
Kind of looks around like a prairie dog, like out in the desert, like, huh? Okay, is it clear? Sit.
Well, elsewhere on the ship, going down that roll of initiative, we have down in sick bay. Kresic, you are left with a. I don't know how much the captain has kept you informed on this situation, or how much Kresic has kept up to date, but
I would think the captain would have probably made an announcement that we were getting boarded, but I doubt I expected them to come into sick bay.
Yeah, you are in your sick bay at work when you hear the doors open, and contrary to any of your usual occupants, you see what appear to be two armored individuals, layered in such a manner that, beyond the fact that they are bipeds and likely of the size of other humanoids, albeit the tall, burly sort that most Klingons seem to be, there's nothing to really denote much of who or what they are beyond the affectations that the armor lays out. In particular, once again, the sign of engraved ridges on the helmet that are laid out in a uniform fashion. For those who are familiar with the films that were done, the reboot films very specifically, I am actually very sympathetic to the idea that the Imperial fleet wears basically the Kelvin timeline version of the Klingon uniform as seen in Into Darkness. More reasons behind that later, but yeah, that is the general idea of what you see as these two individuals start coming in and just start looking around the sick bay.
Kicking around the empty vials.
Yep.
The empty hypo cartridges on the ground.
Yep. One of them will
Can I help you?
They kind of look to each other and speak a few words in a Klingon dialect you are not quite as familiar with. Oh, what do you do on this ship?
I take people apart and put them together again.
Oh, great job. You You pass as a ship surgeon. Very well then. We require a full listing of any of your medical stores, substances, and compounds. Comply.
Fine. I head over to my my quarters slash office slash intensive care unit.
Indeed. One of them is moving to follow right behind you as you do. They do not have a weapon bared. The only thing either of them has out currently would be scanners. But yes, they will. I think it's safe to say one of them will try to get a glimpse around you to look at what's kind of in the area.
Yeah.
Doesn't he fill the entire doorway, however?
I do fill the entire doorway, but I go through the doorway, so I imagine he would follow through the doorway. Yeah, there's just going to be some data pads, a large leather-bound book on his desk as well. He just boots up his computer, punches a few buttons. Do you want to look at it here or on your own device?
You will transfer files to this device immediately, he says, handing over like an excess pad he has on his belt. Because that's just a thing that everybody in Star Trek does at this point.
Yeah, the Klingon flash drive. And he wanted a full listing of all medical gear that I have, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
I give it to him.
All right.
I give it to him.
The download takes some time as you start going through that. Did you include some of the more choice files? Let's say about, I don't know. Well, would someone find analysis of Korg syndrome?
No. He wanted listing of like chemicals that I have on hand. That's what I'm going to give him. He didn't ask me for my medical research.
Copy that. Also, correct me if I'm wrong. The pod is in this section, is it not?
No, the pod's in the main area.
Okay. All right. In that case, there is an alert call out from the other Klingon who's still on the main sickbay, and the officer turns around. What did you find? It's like, sir, do not recognize configuration, but there is a life form in this. Both Klingons are now over at the pod as the one who tried to follow you moves over to inspect Traven's pod.
I am following. I am not letting him do anything with that pod.
What do your sensors indicate? Life signs indeterminate. Pod may have some useful materials and is an interesting device. The one of the Klingons is going for like a hatch on the pod, or like trying to open up a compartment on it.
Do not touch the pod.
One of the soldiers turns to you. Would you interfere with our inspection?
I would save 3 lives.
The Klingon soldier, like implacable through his helmet, it takes a moment to consider before realizing the implication. That is a most curious estimation, as I would count only 2 at risk. Or possibly more, if we consider your crew.
No. 2 is right.
And there is just the makings of a big stare down here. Do you want to roll for either intimidation or, dare I say, even persuasion, since you are, to an extent, speaking their language?
I would be delighted.
All right. So let's call this then presence and security.
All right. Would my psychoanalysis focus work?
I think that definitely applies here.
Okay, here we go. This won't go badly, right, guys? Right?
I believe in you.
2 successes. I'm not upset with that.
Let's see how.
My character's life is hanging by a thread, so this is anticipating.
Again.
Well, they score a single success, so that means Kresic, the roll goes to you in this case, and you earn back a momentum for that. It occurs to me I haven't awarded momentum to you from the last roll, so who would like to be designated momentum officer? Volunteers?
I'll do it.
I can do it.
Captain
Okay,
does
there you
so
go.
good.
Perfect.
All right. Yeah. Let's see. Let me just
El Capitan.
send that out to you real quick, Tabok. You don't know the exact calculations that are happening beneath that helmet. There's a bit of tension in the air as his own hand is like readied near a weapon, but the Beck seems to think better of it and simply says, "You have specifications on this pod or any additional sets of these. Please note. We'll have you send that information. Attach that on the pad on the device provided to you. Also, a full set of medical data on the ship's entire complement of crew and passengers. You will comply with this, or perhaps we will see how many lives are truly at risk. But you may transmit that to us when you have completed that work. We will permit you to complete that on your own."
Thank you. It takes time. I'm going to pull out my scanner and start scanning the pod to make sure that they haven't messed up anything, but not scan the pod.
Yep. Yeah.
But scan these guys.
Okay, so surreptitious medical scan of them as well.
Like, yeah. Like I'm scanning this pod, but I'm not really concerned about the pod.
Okay. Reason and medicine on them. Let's see. I think that are you just trying to identify whether they are like in fact Klingon, or just going for a very basic thing? Or are you trying to discern anything?
Are they Klingon? Are they healthy?
Okay. I think that I think I will allow this to happen at a difficulty 1.
Okay. I'm sure one of my focuses applies.
Certainly.
Supernatural phenomena.
The armor is empty. They are ghosts.
Oh no, I was right all along.
No, but that is 3 successes on your last roll, Kresic. So you do indeed. Well, that's more momentum. Captain, if you just want to draw that yourself, I think you should be able to pull from the pile, but you can draw 2 momentum there. And with that roll, Kresic, your sensors do indeed verify both of these men are Klingons, pagh from the looks of it. They both appear to be in relatively fit condition, although there's maybe the very slightest signs of sort of a couple common spacefaring medical conditions, or really just long-term like the sort of thing you would expect with a ship maybe poorly supplied in terms of like a full battery of appropriate nutrients. Like they might be
So like the Yan.
Yeah, but they seem to it's likely this has been going on longer, so it's possible this could be from an extended patrol or like some other long-term operation. Certainly, a roguish crew such as the Yan could eventually fall prey to this, particularly if they don't return to their deft level of cooking under Traven.
Space scurvy is a real problem, kids.
Yep, Klingon space scurvy. But yeah, the two Klingons will walk off, and they will they will leave you to your work. I will say, Doctor, you were able to look up on a completely separate display to determine that while they might have rustled a like a covering for some of the inner workings of the life support pod. Traven's pod remains in working order. Its function has not been impaired in any way.
Excellent. You will live.
Yep. So
All right.
yeah.
So then I go back and sit down at my computer to start editing. I mean, to start making sure that the crew files are all up to date. Yes, of course. My clumsy fingers won't accidentally hit delete all.
Certainly not. Certainly not flooding it with the all the most useless information. Uh,
I mean, I keep everything in my in my mammalian leather bound books, anyways, so it's fine.
Ooh.
yes.
Yep, so that's what I'm gonna do. Sit back down, sigh, Klingons, and get to work.
Yep. Okay. So I think that after that encounter, we have one more place to go to before we return to the captain, and that would involve taking us down to engineering. So let me just change sets once more. Raldar, you would obviously be down there, and I imagine what is her face? Kelshaw would also be there. Uh, Incidentally, let's have a look at our other very recently refitted set here. For those that thought the transporter room was looking nice.
We gotta have this
Oh, that
set
does
up
look
for the
really
next three
good.
fights.
There we go. Once again, for the viewers at home, I apologize that things are running just a little bit slow right now. I'm not sure if Roll20 is having an issue or if it is me, but in any case, yes, here we go. Engineering in its glory, or at least something closer to an approximation of how things ought to look for this. So yeah, Raldar, um, you probably might have had people starting to rummage around parts of engineering at least a little bit earlier because they would have. I think that they would have been able to enter in from the deck above. I'd envision this as being the main deck of the reactor pit that we're currently working on, and it obviously extends down. Extends down into the subdeck as well as up into the crew deck slightly. So
I've mostly just been focusing on the work, looking between, a data pad and the main console.
yep. So let's see here.
As
Uh,
I've never I've never gotten a break from fixing something on this damn ship.
Indeed not. There's always some sort of repair-related challenge for the Yon. And now there's a very different challenge, one of a social nature, as the three as the three Klingon Imperial soldiers walk in. The armor is very familiar to you, Raldar. It's indeed a variant of which you probably wore at some time in the past with your previous service. Um, they never had a helmet that could fit you, and they never really tried.
Yeah, I'm still wearing like half of it.
Yeah,
Still armor.
yep. But you recognize pretty clearly as the three of them step in. A couple of them ranks are very clearly Bex. One of them appears to be one of them appears to be an officer of some sort. You would guess something like a top grade lieutenant. And I'd say even, tell you what, give me an insight and command roll, difficulty 1.
All right, insight in command. Hazard awareness?
I don't think so in this case. If you have anything that's more protocol oriented or something with your previous service in the Imperial Navy, that would probably be more relevant here.
Yeah, not as a focus.
Okay. Well, go ahead and take that roll.
Damn.
Well, the ranking looks
Barely.
yeah. The ranking something about it looks a little familiar, but you actually wait. Oh yeah. All right. Yeah, that's an 11 there. Okay. Something about the ranking arrangement kind of gives you the sense of something familiar, but you don't. You're a little rusty, and they've updated things since the war, at least a little bit. But they are rummaging just all about the engine now. Look, or like about the reactor, um, nosing into some consoles. One's checking a display. Um, A miracle you've kept this. You've got this engine back into working order. No considerable amount of upgrades. The officer says.
I worked on worse during the war.
The officer turns his helmet with a slight tilt. You have slightly perked this man's interest. Someone led you on a ship.
I was a technical officer.
And you, like me, had one of the hardest jobs in the fleet.
Trying to make things work with the terrible budget we get from the council.
Hey, don't remind me. As the other officers are rummaging, he calls out a command in a once again in Klingon. This one still like you make out the gist of it basically as a something that he's calling out to say, do your jobs, but the vague wording is something like obviously it would not be terribly Klingon for him to say do it a little more politely, but that is kind of the gist of it. The dialect is a little different from what you're used to, Raldar, and it's you get the sense there's a little bit of shorthand going into it that might have been a little more familiar to you in years past, but has evolved a little, I'd say.
I see.
Yeah. As ramshackle a vessel as this is, and as old as it is, I must say, it is quite impressive work you are doing keeping it operational. Have you been out? Has it been out in space long, or since you activated it again?
Has it been a few months?
Yeah, I'd say it's now Lobral, and you started. Yeah, that'd be 2 Klingon months ago, I think. Back during. Oh dear, I'm forgetting the Jovis. That's basically the start of the
Right.
Klingon year.
And if our math is correct, that's almost 4 Earth months, isn't it? Something
Pretty
along those lines?
much. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
that
the
like
Klingon year is almost twice as long as the standard Federation year.
Yeah,
Earth year.
a Klingon month is about 48 days long. With I think it's 5 weeks of 8 days, and there are other weird components to it. Like each day is actually only 20 hours as opposed to the 24 for Terran. So it actually, in some ways, it comes out. It manages to come out even, I think, a little bit when you adjust for everything. But yeah, it's been at least a couple months for you.
I cleared this ship for service back in Jovis.
Yes. Looks a little worse for wear. You've seen other battle yourself.
Yes. The first captain was dishonorable, to say the least. It got us in trouble. He has been replaced.
Is just as good. There's too many that run about proclaiming honor without carrying it here. Not in the service, at least, but plenty we run into. And that's just among some of the Klingons.
Some houses are more aggressive than they should be.
Eh, certainly the Kurath have been noteworthy, and it is hard to stay around in this area of space too long without either houses Katoh or Malg at each other's throats.
Anything notable of House Talorn?
Oh, Kalorn. Let me give him a roll here. Stand by, and I have heard my captain refer to at least one or two. Sometime there are some words of the sons of Kalorn gaining some reputation in the Penthe Triangle. A few promising raids here and there. Battle against the Creel and other pirates. Believe there was even a wily captain that we had brief contact with before receiving our distress call. Probably still about in the space of some relation. Did you serve as one of their attendants, or perhaps a technical officer on one of their ships?
No, I was never allowed on one of their ships, but I do know a few members of the house. I'd like to keep track of them.
I can tell you very little, but my understanding of them, they are competent warriors. They may make a name for themselves yet.
Good. They take being warriors very seriously.
Who does not among the honorable houses these days?
I am just glad that they are doing well.
Indeed. Your name, I have not taken the moment to know it, but I would like to now.
My name is Raldar.
Raldar. I am Tanaka of the House Hakro. I'll put that in the Discord at least for you.
All right, thank you.
Oh,
It is
H
nice to meet you. I am honored that you have spoken to me.
We shall complete our business here, hopefully soon, and leave you to your way. I can hope.
I hope you find more honorable battles later.
He doesn't answer with that as he starts looking around and says, "Oh, may I review I review a diagnostic of your warp and impulse drives."
You may. I have mostly been referencing my damage reports at the moment.
Yeah. The engineer will work with you for a time and look over some of these. He's very curt with his remaining conversation, but you gather that basically he is he does work in the engineering department aboard the ship, or may well even be the chief engineer aboard the Chikros. Though he does, unless you would like to press him otherwise, there isn't much that I think could be gained, or there's not much that he will personally give you. If you want to try to find out anything else from him, that is your prerogative.
I will not press him more than what I need.
Okay. So yeah, then that will continue on. And hey, we've taken a nice look at the engineering set. I'm a bit proud of this one, so thank you for enjoying. Um, anyway, uh, let's see. I guess going about the ship, most have had scenes of some focus, so I'll ask first, Cheesy, since there wasn't really anything for, um, yes, a good day, Raldar. No one was stabbed in engineering. Let's see. For one thing, Cheesy, since there wasn't anything done with our good Nausicaan friend Bahan, is there anything that any place you wanted him to be present? Anything you wanted to do with that for now?
He'd mostly, I think, just be on the bridge. Unfortunately, it's hard to bring in Bahan and Kelshaw because they're
Oh, I'm having a little bit of trouble reading you there. Are you everything okay
sorry.
there? All right.
My headset just unplugged. It's hard to bring them in because this is such a like head of engineering, head of medical, and head pilot type of scenario. So right now they're just waiting in standby to support.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, perhaps more will come of that then later, but we'll kind of see how that evolves. Um, well, you also had like you had at least a moment on the bridge earlier, but is there anything that did you want to engage with them in any particular way, or dare I say, did you want to bring Croker in any of this?
Oh, Croker's so brooding. I feel like if I bring Woe into it, I will be very tempted to screw some things up. So I think I'll just step back. Plus, I'm kind of like at work, so I'm not
Ah,
likely here.
fair enough, fair enough. We'll say that Woe is exercising the better judgment because she knows that if she got too involved with this inspection beyond what she has to, then there's a chance that she would have to do things that her rational brain tells her she doesn't do.
She's got the scent of that rude Klingon in her nostrils, and it's best that she just goes take a little walk in the gym, because otherwise she's gonna get that guy.
Yep. Which, to be fair, the ship doesn't have a gym, so she's probably just walking around the cargo bay. It's
Yeah, close enough.
the most space she probably has on the whole ship,
This is true.
save for the reactor pit, and you probably don't want Woe near the reactor.
Best not. Best not.
Yeah. All right. Well then, I think then there's a good chance we would head back towards the, rather, it would we would go back to the captain, unless anyone else wants a scene of some sort. Uh, does anybody want to do something once, like, the inspection is passed, or anything like that?
I want to message down to Raldar in engineering.
Okay. Audio message, or were you just going to send Raldar like like some sort of text file?
Audio first.
Okay. So while we are in engineering, there will be like the Klingon intercom sound, and Azek's voice will come over the speakers.
Raldar, are you has the inspection concluded for your area yet?
I'll walk over to like the communicator thing in the present. I think we still have a few minutes before they wrap up.
I'm gonna. I kind of quiet down. I'm gonna send you a file about their engines. See what you can make of it,
All right.
and then I'll send down the scans that we took that Vopri and I were talking about earlier.
Sure thing. If you want to roll on that now, you can. It would be probably an insight and engineering to get a read off this, and I'm going to say it's a difficulty 2.
Inside engineering.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Hazard awareness, tactical systems, EPS systems, computers, any of those?
All of that would apply.
All right. But
Well, with no successes there's something. There's like a lot of there's a lot of interesting information there, but you can't quite put your finger on what's wrong here. There might be some issue, but you don't discern what it could mean. Just see some unusual signs of like weird like emissions coming off of the warp and impulse decks, basically.
yes, it's like just a little behind on maintenance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Not
that's
uncommon for Imperial ships.
anything else any of you would want to add, either, well, in this case, Azek and Raldar directly in this scene or otherwise?
Nope. I just wanted him to look at the files to see if he could see anything. That's all.
All right, so I think that would move us eventually down to the ship's galley, where Captain, you would eventually be making your you had planned to meet up with the commander who is presently set up in there waiting for the inspection to conclude. I believe that it was actually part of your plan to go down and meet with him, basically see if he would be willing to look over your these scrolls, basically of.
No, that wasn't the point. The point was I was basically going to sit with him while he got the reports. I wasn't going to leave him alone.
Copy that.
And through conversation, simply try to find out if he. I don't know how to do that personally. I don't know how to do that. But find out how devout this guy is.
Oh, copy that.
Klingon small talk, basically.
Sort of, yeah, pushing it towards belief in Kalis, the Holy Scrolls, and all the rest of this stuff. Just trying to see, because if I can find a point of contact, because I doubt it's going to be engineering.
All right, fair enough. Well then, let us move on down to the ship's mess. And let's see here. So, the crews operate over the next few hours, probably shorter than that, but they are conducting their scans of the like as far as the well, let's just back it up a little. Back it up a ways to some point later in the inspection where Tabak, you're attempting to engage him in conversation or try to discern his intentions or like otherwise learn what you can about him. As Baona just looks idly at a pad and takes what little blood wine you've had like seconded away, basically. This is absolutely dreadful.
Yes, it is. Told you. It is absolute swell. It's one of the many things I'm hoping to be able to resupply my ship with once we get to our destination.
I wouldn't even trade this out for the stock we have on the ship, and that's scarcely more useful than engine coolant.
I think this may have been engine coolant.
So I suppose it is your prerogative what you put in your what you consume here, but it is not for me. He's just gonna toss the mug off from his hand and let it clatter to the ground, whatever excess liquid remaining spilling onto the floor.
Don't care much for it myself, but it is all I could afford at the time. And it kept the crew happy for a little while.
I am surprised there was not a mutiny on this ship.
Sometimes I'm surprised at that as well.
So, I believe had I asked you for a manifest yet, Captain? I will, of course, require one as well.
Of course. I believe I have it compiled already.
I should clarify manifests. I would like to know your any information on crew and passengers, as well as a cargo manifest. We need to make sure that we are getting a thorough readout on your ship.
I'm sure your men have already asked my people for those manifests.
Certainly, but we need to be sure. We need to understand who's flying about on our space lanes. Not everybody is so honorable and courteous as a leader of a house. An illustrious one like the House of Cord is.
Do you mean to be insulting, Captain?
Oh.
You know nothing of my house, and you know if you did, you would know it was not illustrious. My house is in poor shape. Thanks to idiot sires and grandsires.
I will say that much. This much. I know very little of your house, and I care very little of its state. But I shall take your word for that. He also glances around the ship. Of course, well, this is an interesting choice to try and break that tradition.
What do you mean?
Oh, your house being so thoroughly drained of resources as it is, and you pick a small, outdated warship in the hopes of earning glory, or just running cargo, keeping yourselves alive for another month or maybe a year.
My house has never been a warrior's house. My house is a house of commerce. And that is what I'm continuing. Without houses like mine, the empire would crumble. We may not win battles, but we let you fight the wars. We provide you with what you need.
Oh, well, perhaps you may yet be of some use then, says, just idly glancing over a pad. Good. Some reports are starting to come in now. Your crew is such as one could consider these things a crew. Yes. This little menagerie of yours seems to be at least cooperating for the most part. I do have a couple reports. There are some limited sections on the crew decks that are sealed off.
Some of those are just atmospheric leaks, radiation leaks, reactor problems. It's easier to just close them off and not bother going into them.
Oh, indeed, such a pity.
This ship is old.
Yes, it scarcely seems space-worthy with all the holes that have been put in it.
You would be correct.
He taps more buttons on his pad. Any particular swing you want to take at him, metaphorically speaking? I know the literal sword would be a very bad idea.
I'm not sure. What do you?
Well,
I'm not trying to piss him off. That's for dang sure.
certainly not. It's more if you have any particular ways you want to engage him, try to get any more of a grasp of Ba'ona's.
Oh, right. You actually want me to role play out something I have absolutely zero means of figuring out how to do. Gotcha.
Just if something comes to mind.
Mm-hmm.
As I do have a thing that he will do in a moment, but I wanted to give you every opportunity to.
Okay. Give me just 1 second. The cord on my headphones isn't long enough. I have a book I need to grab. Give me just a sec.
Oh, sure thing. Well, while that is happening here, let's take a look. Oh, well, that's one problem right there. We need to move this over to move this from engineering, which it looks like to most of you, and up to the galley. Let's see. And also, for some reason, Ba'ona wasn't visible, so that's another problem. But all of those are easily fixed. So, I hope you are all doing well, chat. Just as a reminder, we do have Quatlus now that are the channel points in the bottom left-hand corner. So if you feel the need to either convince the GM to hydrate or vocalize an NPC with a particular voice line, you can do that. You can also steadily affect the roles that the players deal with, or allow them momentum, like give the GM threat, all useful things like this. Ways to help shape the story a little.
I have gotten my book. Now, the book that I have gotten grabbed off of my bookshelf is The Klingon Art of War, known to Klingons as the Desh-ah. This is the book that he has copied like a bunch of times because that's what those who follow these precepts do. So basically, there are 10 precepts on how to be a good Klingon. And then there's all sorts of other stuff that gets added on, kind of like, other religious texts that get discussed by others and so on and so forth. So, yeah. So I'm just going to start dropping some of these precepts into conversation. The ship is what the ship is, but one must always seek adversity to improve oneself.
Well, let me roll to see if he starts picking up on this.
That being the fourth precept of seek adversity.
Let's see. He seems otherwise diverted at the moment. He just says, yes, sure, certainly. You do what you need to justify its state.
Wow. He's still being... this is just me thinking out loud. He's still being a rude son of a targ. That was such a dismissive statement.
Yep.
Have you seen many battles lately?
We have chased many a pirate and dealt with us. Most have the good sense to know when they are outmatched. But some do give us the pleasure. And they meet glorious deaths when they do.
Well, one must always choose your enemies well, which is the first precept.
Gotcha. I'll give Baona one more chance here. He'll pause for a moment, lean forward slightly in this chair. So, even a merchant has time for the Desha, then.
I have written it 27 times. I do what I can to follow its precepts.
Well, I suppose that is at least that one internal sense of battle that, even if your grandsires were foolish, it is well, it's almost an impressive feat, and it at least speaks a little better to you than it does for them, unless they spent their time writing down old books.
My sire gave me my first copy, but he was almost as big a fool as my grandsire. My grandsire was a drunkard.
Oh, yes.
I know it is said not seemly. It is said to not be seemly to speak ill of one's family. But my grandsire was a fool.
When, let's see here. The Baona is just going to. He's going to pause for a moment as he sets aside his pad, pondering your word, and just making sure I have the. Sorry, once again having a slow moment here, and I'm trying to get back to my notes very specifically so that. Let's see. Yes, still definitely moving a little bit slowly. Thankfully, I can at least cut down some of this in editing, but for those of you in the live stream, I do apologize that everything is moving just a little bit slower. Anyway. Well, you oh wait, okay, here it goes. It is no great dishonor to acknowledge where those for us went astray. Indeed, the dishonor of some can marvel for a generation, but this too must be confronted. It's the only way for some to claw back any hope of regaining their past glories, or regaining future glories for themselves.
You must attend to these things as soon as you can. You must leave nothing for tomorrow, which is the seventh precept.
I'll get that one for free. Yes, yes. If your intention is to continue quoting that book all conversation, then he thinks better of what he's about to say next. I am sure you have committed it all to memory, and that you try to live by those precepts each day. I must say, though, Captain, I do feel as if something about the ship doesn't entirely sit right with me. There's something yet hidden that I don't know. It's not the most forthcoming instance. Also, lo'laHbe and Doe, thank you for the lurk there. I would have normally seen that with the command, but it's not doing so well at the moment. Yeah, for some reason I'm having all the interfaces are being really weird right now, and I don't know why. But we'll deal with that as best we can. Hopefully the recording looks decent enough for everyone later. All right, so yeah, moving along from there.
What exactly are you suggesting, Captain?
All I have to say, Captain Tabok, I find it all rather for a ship in this state, even as old and creaky as this near ancient vessel is. I have a hard time believing that you would have missed a stress call, or perhaps that that you had no recourse in any of that. And what of this fight you say against the Creel? The blasts I saw were clearly torpedo impacts, and in all my fighting, I must say I haven't seen the Creel use expendable torpedo-style weaponry. Most can scarcely afford it, and even then it goes against their philosophy. They scarcely like to expend a part if they can't afford to.
These were claim jumpers. They utilized what they had on hand. I don't know any more than that. They fired upon us, we fired back.
Well. I suppose, he says as he looks over his report, I don't have any evidence that says otherwise, but look, aside from the sensor teams that I need to dispatch to those upper decks to investigate the secured areas, I have as much information as I'm going to get in this case, and I must say, Captain pagh, you may conduct yourself honorably, but you also seem to do so rather sloppily. This ship of yours suggests that it has dealt with other battle in the past, and is, frankly, barely in a space-worthy state. I'm a little surprised that you thought not to head to the system where the Card outpost rested, as it would have been the most logical place to at least start some preliminary repairs after all the damage you've suffered. That conduct...
You would think so, but I must bring my ship to where I can get my money for my cargo.
Oh, yes,
I do not have the luxury of an imperial vessel such as yours to simply demand repairs. I have to pay for them.
Well, I do hope that you have some Darsex present, because I'm afraid that between the considerable safety and health issues on the ship, with all the damage, I'm surprised that it didn't break up already. There's a risk that you could have lost containment somewhere in the space lanes, and that would have been a hazard to any other passing merchants or tradesmen. I am afraid.
Out of character. This is now turned less from an inspection because he thinks I shot somebody to a shakedown. Yes.
Oh, that's definitely there are vibes. There are definitely vibes here.
I do have some money on hand. I also have some dilithium.
Ah, yes, we had taken notice of that. Well, I will tell you what. I will start with the appropriate set of fees here, at least as an initial amount. He will slide his pad over to you, Tabak, to look over the amount of Darsex that he is requesting. I will go ahead and tell you, particularly since we are playing fast and loose with the numbers, it constitutes an amount that would bankrupt you a couple times over.
I laughed. You surely cannot be serious. You think that I, with a ship like this, have that much currency?
Well, you may not have the marks for all of it. I believe we can come to an appropriate alternative arrangement. Switch to the secondary tab on that pad.
Uh-huh.
The amount of Darsex is considerable, but reduced, and something that would still be quite bad for you, but would be possible to pay off. It is where the rest of the list goes that starts posing problems. Among the requests, the cargo bay the entire store of dilithium that you acquired from the Talanor system when you traded with the Creel.
Well, remember, a whole bunch of that was turned into money and deposited.
Fair enough.
Okay, I'm only carrying a small amount for use in bribes.
Okay, that's more consistent then. All right. So what dilithium you have left is being requested for that. There are also a number of spare parts and components that some more critical than others are being called for in this case. Various patch repair kits, spare supplies for the engines. Some
Of which
portions
we
of
have not.
things that you would have to pull from active systems in order to sustain, and you might still be able to get to destinations, but only just barely. Uh, a number of elements of other parts of the stores, probably a handful of the remaining fresh ingredients that might have been left over, or at least the relatively decent ingredients that you had left over from Traven. Really, it's calling stuff from across the board. They want to pull some of the nicer weapons from the armory. There are, as you go further down, they want the the disruptor coils from the bridge-mounted cannons. They're actually calling for all but a handful of your photon torpedoes, portions of your deuterium and antimatter. They are basically asking to strip down a considerable bit of what little redundancies are on this ship and would leave it uh, still
This
capable of
would leave
moving.
this would leave my ship a floating hulk.
Well, that could still float in at warp and arrive on the next port, and
No, it could not. You may as well just shoot me now and just kill my crew. As much honor as that would take you, I would wait for you in Grathor.
You don't suspect that I'd give you an honorable death today if it came to that?
No. And by killing me and taking all of this from me and my ship and my family, that would dishonor you as well.
Oh. Well, then we find ourselves at an impasse, Captain.
No, we don't. You can have the lithium. You're not taking everything off of my ship.
Everything off of your ship. It's an interesting proposition you make there, Captain. My teams, in their investigation, they found the disruptor coils show signs of specific manufacturing protocols. Those, although in a slightly worse for wear state, were definitely manufactured by Imperial foundries.
I bought them in a junk pile as I was repairing this ship. You have the receipts.
Yes. I'm sure that you do, and I'm sure you could even put us in touch with the businessman that you acquired them from. I'd rather like to talk to him. I can just imagine elsewhere on the ship, what's his face squirming a little bit.
Oh yes.
Our quote unquote quartermaster friend. Let's see. Everything is a little bit for me. Apologies. Let's see. Sorry, does slate? Okay. I'm good. Everyone still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Sorry, just everything went weird for a moment, and I had to be sure. That's well. And several of those weapons in your armor, I'm sure you acquired them through perfectly legitimate means.
I bought them from merchants who had them for sale.
Yes.
I don't have the resources to track down everything. I buy what I need when I need it and when I can afford it. This is all my personal property.
Yes. And how? Tell me, how did those ionic weapon coils come into your possession?
In the same pile of junk that I got the stuff for the disruptors.
Oh, a very likely story. That the
I tell him what planet we got it on.
Oh, you tell him you went to Zethlor.
Oh wait, is that a bad idea?
That I have levied here is based on protocol established by the High Council and the Imperial Navy.
No,
I am being detailed. You question.
Yes, I am questioning what you are asking me for.
Well, Captain, you're welcome to dispute you're welcome to dispute these charges here. But if you claim my word is not up to standard, or that I am dissembling with you, that I take as a challenge to honor, and then I can guarantee you quite an honorable death. Now, if you can't meet the fees, you don't wish to cooperate on the full list of useful materials, well, perhaps I can find an mix. I've looked over your compliments well, and I have no desire to expand menagerie. Or rather, I have no desire for the same type of menagerie that you bear on this ship. There are yet some useful crew here.
You are not taking my crew either.
Now that would, that, Captain
There is
Haylock.
there is no law in the Empire for conscription. Certainly not from a house.
Are you saying that all of these Klingons are members of your house?
They are in my employ and in my service. They are therefore members of my house.
I'm going to spend 2 threat to create only the mildest of setbacks, which is rather to say a slight amendment to Imperial protocols, or rather how he chooses to cite them. Well, if this were family we were talking about, I might understand a little more, but mere employees on a ship, that I do have some latitude to place
Go back to the high command. Get more crew. Get your ship fixed. You don't need my stuff. You have the entirety of the Imperial Navy to supply you with men and munitions. What you're engaging in now is dishonorable piracy.
What piracy is happening here, Captain?
Is you attempting to steal my crew?
You
Steal
dare!
my ship,
You
steal
dare accuse
my
me!
goods. I'm not accusing you. I'm saying. I am stating it as fact. You are attempting piracy. You are attempting the dishonorable act of theft of my goods and my crew.
He's just gonna pull Diktak and stab it into the table at this point.
And I'm going to pull a mek'leth and I'm going to stab it into the table. Well, whack it into the table.
Yeah.
My nice, really pretty looking mek'leth.
Oh, you're ready to answer with your life for these, then? Is that it, Captain?
Are you? Do you really wish to see Grethor that badly?
Oh,
Dying in combat is not going to save you from the dishonor you are doing now.
It is not me that will end this day in the afterlife. But if it is,
I will go to Stovokor and go to war with the Black Fleet. You will go to Grethor for eternity, and your family will be shamed and will follow your sons for 3 generations.
Well, we can test that proposition if you truly believe that, Captain. I will give you the choice. Would you like to face it now, or would you prefer to take time to get your affairs in order?
All right, the mek'leth that I drew and whacked at the table was the one for the left hand.
Mhm.
With the right hand, I draw my disruptor and shoot him.
Oh dear.
Oh God! Oh God!
There's no way out of it. There's no way out of this that works for a Klingon. We have both insulted each other. We have both impugned each other's honor. He won't back down. I can't back down. I'm gonna die.
Or live.
Control.
You've seen how well Tabak can fight.
Control and security, please.
He was
Have a determination. Remember, please remember.
He was never built to be a warrior.
Oh no.
Well,
It was. What were you saying there, sir?
the role for that disruptor shot is control and security. And I will say, before you look to, there is ample momentum on the table. There's enough to buy 2 additional dice there. You have your determination, which you can either use for the auto crit or to re-roll anything if it comes to it.
Okay. 3 momentum for 2 extra dice. God dang it. Hold on.
Okay.
There's that.
Thank you.
And just for poops and grins, I guess I'll spend my determination now and go for the crit.
Okay, what value are you tapping in this case?
I will die, but I will not die stupidly.
Very well. So that is the automatic critical success. That gives you 2 successes on the board automatically. So you manage to, that will automatically give you the success you need, and you may roll the dice, the 3d20s in addition to that. Or 4, rather, because you bought 2 additional dice. Sorry.
Correct.
Okay. And I should ask, is this going to be a lethal shot?
Absolutely.
What a silly question.
Absolutely. That is a ridiculous question, sir.
Well, had to ask.
You did.
Oh,
Discrimination! Discrimination! I sent it.
No.
Oh my god.
It's okay. We still hit. We still hit.
Yeah, you do still hit. Let's see. Roll.
I hate the die roller. This die roller is so weighted to the top end because it's for D&D. I swear to God.
Let me ask. First, Tabak, complication there. Is that narrative or threat that you want
Take
to?
threat. Take threat.
Okay. Jim takes 2 threat.
I still hit him now.
Yes, you do. While your dice did not give you any successes, you definitely hit that with the auto crit from your determination. So please.
Did we have? Wait. Did you say I had some floating momentum?
No, you did not.
Oh,
You
damn it.
needed to have like 6 in order to have anything floating around. But yeah, go ahead and take your shot, and well, that is 4 points of damage, which the armor gives him 1 resistance. The let's see, the well, wait, no, he doesn't have Brackle because he is a pagh, much like yourself. So that will still hit for 3 points of damage with that disruptor there. If you want to re-roll or add any extra damage, I think Momentum would give you the chance to do it if you wanted.
So I can re-roll the zeros?
Yes, that would cost 1 point of momentum.
Okay. Do I just change the number for the disruptor pistol?
I think the better way would be to go through the challenge die. Yeah, just set that to 2. Be sure to push enter and then give it a roll. I'm not certain whether it actually still has the same glitch as the old one, but it.
Ooh, that's nice. That's real nice.
Okay, that is. All right, yeah, that is now a total of. So by the numbers, that is 6 points there. Then you rolled an effect, which is 1 plus the effect is vicious ones. Now that is a total of 8. How would you say you've dispatched Commander Baona?
Shot him in the face.
Gotcha. Yeah, your disruptor bolt goes clean through the helmet, and even with the 1 resistance, still 7 points of damage. So you probably from the angle you were shooting, it went mostly through the mouthpiece, but burned a large part of the part covering the nostril. And there is the momentary flashing of smoke and green light from the eye holes as it goes through and just vaporizes his head, and then a part of it bursts out through the back of the helmet. Yes, Baona falls dead to the ground with no eyes to open and no way to let that body. You could still give the scream to let someone know that that a warrior is coming to the afterlife.
At this point, no, I'm not even going to bother. Dumbass pirate. That's all he was.
Dekoth is still there, isn't he?
Oh, I don't remember if Dekoth was. I didn't set Dekoth to be in here. I think I might have left him outside with the other 2. Well, actually, no. His inspection team would have been just going all about the ship. He didn't see a need for bodyguards in this case, much to his detriment here. There we go.
I can't believe 4.
But it still works. All paid off in the end.
Oh my God!
All right. Yeah, Tabak, you have a dead Imperial commander. Dead commander of the Imperial fleet in your mess hall. What are you aiming to do next? I'll give you a closing line to get out an order somewhere.
Oh no, he fell down the stairs and shot himself with his disruptor pistol.
That's what I'm saying. Crazy.
Tabak to Krestic.
Yes, Captain.
Medical emergency in the galley. In the vessel.
Do I bring the kit?
Yes.
Understood.
All right. And it is with that last call to sickbay as the captain buys himself a little bit of time here that we leave off with tonight's session. So, yeah, that will be it for Star Trek Adventures Broken Sword tonight. Thank you, everyone, for... Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say because next week we're getting blown up. So yeah.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us. We really appreciate you all stopping by, and I apologize for those in the recording here who might have seen some of the tech issues as well, where things have been a little slow, and I'm not entirely sure why. But we'll get that figured out for you next week, and we'll have a good session next time. But yeah, until then, everybody have a good rest of your evening.